Good morning. I am coming to you from the greenhouse. It is a sweltering day already, and it's not even 10 o'clock. So, luckily, we're not too hot in here yet, but it will be very soon. So, I need to get some pruning done. Can you tell? This side's not too bad. I did most of it yesterday, but really need to do some pruning over here. So, I thought I would show you how to prune your tomatoes. This is the must do for tomatoes. If you do anything for your tomatoes to help them, it's prune them. Let me show you two simple things to do to prune your tomatoes, two of the absolutely must do, and then I can show you what extras are optional, but I do all the time. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to show you a before shot of this side of the greenhouse, what the tomatoes look like. They are way overdue for a prune, but it's just a matter of time. I haven't been able to get out here and get these done. Like I said, I got those done last night. Most of them. I still have a few to do, but they are looking a lot better. And I actually need to address these middle ones as well. These were only pruned last week and they're already getting really big. So let me show you how I prune my tomatoes. Okay, so first off, what tools are needed? Don't mind my gigantic glasses. These are the first ones I could find, and it is so bright. And my eye bags are like for real today, so you get to see them. Tools of the trade, clippers of some sort. If you don't have like a garden one, use scissors, or you can use your fingers, but they can get really big, and really once the plants get so big, you really need a clipper of some sort. I love these. They're small, they are very sharp, hence that was from last night. I got a little close. So some clippers, and that's really all you need, unless you are trellising like I do, and then you need some clips or however you're attaching it to your trellis. So that's the tools that you need. And let me show you here how to prune. Yeah, I think this plant is a decent one. I'll show you a couple of them, because depending on what's going on with the plant, you can do different things, but let me show you here. So this plant here, for one, because I trellis, I check to see if it needs to be trellised, and it does. You can see it's fallen down. I'm wondering if maybe a clip fell off. I don't see it. So this one's just grown really fast. So pick it up and I will clip it up and trellis it, so it can grow nice. Actually, that didn't get there we go. Okay. Now, I think I'm gonna have to move the camera so you can see what I see. All right, so here is my plant. So I have it all trellised up. It's clipped up high so that it is supported nicely. So let me step back and show you the whole plant here. Okay, it is got a little bit of a leaf curl going on, but we are in a very, very hot week, and it's just getting a little stressed from that. So I'm doing my best to keep them less stressed. So don't worry about that. But this is the plant. Now you can see that I have it pruned up the base, up from the bottom. So that's number one. Prune everything up till a fruit bearing branch. See that? That one's got some fruit on it. So prune all of the leaves up to the first fruit bearing one. Okay. Also, just pull any weeds as you're going, and pull any suckers that would be growing out. Actually, the one next to it shows you. See that little sucker there? I will be getting rid of that. So this is what you want the base to look like. Big reason why you prune your tomatoes is you want to keep, or big goal is to keep any foliage from touching the ground. That is a huge, huge factor in disease with your tomatoes. So, and second, so that's my number one tip: get the foliage off the ground. So prune anything that's touching the ground, and which would be pruning up from the base. So anything touching the ground. Then second, prune the suckers. These are the ones that grow in the middle, in the crotch, in the armpit, whatever you want to call it. Here is the main stem. Here's the branch coming out. See that? Here's, oops, leaf in the way. I should prune that leaf. Okay, I'll turn the camera instead of turn the plant. Okay, main stem right here, branch coming out, sucker right in the middle. Prune those off, all of them. Those will actually be, will essentially be like another plant growing, and that um, wastes the energy of your plant. So this one is a big one. Prune that one, even if it's got fruit growing on it. It's hard and it's like, oh no, I'm losing tomatoes. But trust me, when you do this, you end up having a bigger harvest, healthier tomatoes, and you, in the end, do not lose anything. So now this one, I've got all the suckers off of it, and you can be good. That could be fine. But for me, I'm also going to take away a couple of the leaves, leaf branches. So it's easy to tell on plants which ones are the leaf branches and which are the fruit bearing branches. So here's a leaf branch. Here is a fruit bearing branch. Get the camera in there right. Okay. So that's a fruit bearing branch. So you can easily tell the difference. So I'm going to just trim off some of these leaf branches just to make more airflow, and make sure to watch if you have string that you don't cut your string, because that happens. And then just look for any little suckers. That one could just be broken off. And that's about it. The more airflow, the better as well, for disease resistance. And with our heat, this heat spell that we're going through, this is going to help it to not have to put up so much energy into all those branches. Obviously, you want some leaf branches on there because it needs to, photosynthesize, but you don't need all of them. And if you leave all of them, they get really bushy, really hard to manage. So like this one down here, it's got, and it is just like a jungled mess. Now, once I'm done pruning it, you're going to be able to see in there. It's going to be so much better. This one has to be trellised up, but you end up getting so much more airflow. They don't waste the energy growing those leaf branches. They put it all into those the fruit bearing branches, and just leaving a few leaf branches is plenty for the plant to grow the healthy fruit. So that is that. That is pruning, and I will do a few more just to show you what that looks like. So here's another one. It's so hard. The lighting's so bad in here, I can't hardly see the screen, so I'm really sorry if this is not coming across the most clear. I'm hoping I'm getting good shots. So I clipped this one up because it was getting pretty low, or hanging low. So when you're doing this, you also want to stay away from the top. Don't do anything with this up here because you can accidentally clip the main stem. That would be bad. Okay, so do not do anything with the very top of it. As it grows, then you'll be able to clip anything off, to take off any suckers if they are there, but just don't do that. Yeah, just avoid the top, avoid that, because this looks like a sucker, but that's probably the main stem. So these like cherry tomato types are thinner stems, or thinner stem. That's the word. And so sometimes you can mistake it for a sucker. If you have ones like this, where the fruit branch is actually, I don't know if you can see that, the fruit branch is touching the ground, don't mess with that. Leave it. You obviously don't want to be clipping your fruit branches at all. So don't do anything. Once it is done, that branch is done, it's done flowering, it's done fruiting, you've picked everything, then clip it off. If you can, like, trellis it up in a way that it's not going to break the branch or something like that, feel free to do that, but otherwise just leave it. So this one's actually that was a sucker that was starting to have flowers. There we go. So it's super simple. This one again, it looks like a sucker coming out the top, but that is probably the, it's the main stem. So if I cut that, it will still flower, it'll still be fine. It just is not going to grow anymore. It's just going to be done growing. Now these are all, I plant indeterminate varieties, meaning that they will continue to produce as long as the conditions are ideal. So in Wisconsin, that means as long as they don't get frost. And so like last year I had them into November and it was great. And then one night I was like, how long can I keep these things going? And one night it got cold and I wasn't worried because the greenhouse keeps them warm enough. Sorry, my camera skills are great. The greenhouse keeps them warm enough and it wasn't going to be too cold for, inside the greenhouse. Once it gets to a certain temperature, even the greenhouse doesn't keep them warm enough. Well, that night it happened to be windy and somehow the back door to the greenhouse got it blew open and I lost everything. It was like, oh, it was so sad. It was like one day they're beautiful and still green and still producing like crazy, and the next day you go out there and it's all like they're all just droopy, and I was like, oh man. So it was just an unfortunate situation that happened, but point being that doing this, keeping the maintenance up on your tomatoes can increase your production by a lot. It can increase your the longevity of your plants, because as they grow up, they just keep going up. So like at the end, I mean, you'll have like 5 feet of nothing, just a branch, because you've trimmed everything off. Because once those fruit bearing ones are done, they're not going to bear again. It'll just keep growing up, and then as it gets up, those branches are going to grow again. Like the new fruit bearing branches will grow, and so you just clip them up as they go. You just clip off unnecessary stuff, the dead stuff, whatever's not doing well or not needed, and so you'll have like 5-6 feet of nothing, and but then you have tomatoes on the top. Like in our hoop house, I want to say this is, I should know, I think it's 10 feet tall, and we had them up and over and coming back down. They were so tall and they were still producing. I had amazing tomatoes last year, just huge, beautiful tomatoes. And so this is June. What is it? June 20 something, 23rd. I don't know. Yeah, 23rd, I think it is. In Wisconsin. So these have been in the ground for a little bit, 6 weeks maybe. And they are huge already, just massive. I've got tomatoes on. See if you can see this one. I've got, did you see that? Got tomatoes everywhere. I'm kind of hoping that I'll have tomatoes for 4th of July, which will be kind of cool. But because the conditions in a greenhouse are ideal, or a hoop house, whatever you want to call it, they're ideal for tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers. Those are the 3 crops I have in here. They love the hot, they love the humid, and they love ground watering. And yeah, so that's what I do here. I have the watering underneath. I have a whole video of how I grow in the structure, but mainly I'm just showing you how I prune. So let's keep at it. Okay, so this one's really wild. We've got a sucker here. Highly recommend start from the bottom, work your way up, again avoiding the top of the plant so you don't accidentally cut that. I've done it before. It stinks, but I also have a lot of plants, so if I ruin one, well, luckily I have some backups. Or if a child does. I've definitely had my daughter last year topped one, and I was like, oh, but accidents happen. I do it. Kids are definitely not immune to accidents, for sure, right? So this one here is, I don't know if you can see it. Here's the main stem coming up, and then we have this shooting off to the side. I don't know if you can tell. I literally cannot see the screen, so hopefully, otherwise I'll edit this out. And I'm probably left this just to see which one would bear fruit, and it actually looks like this. Well, both of them are. So what I can do is I do this on a few. Just a few of them. If they're, it just depends on my mood, I think. I will leave both actually, and then it gets a little nutty when you're trellising. They can be a little bit bunched up, but I might leave both. They will be both fruit bearing, and as long as it's looking strong, and I don't know. I don't know how I really decide. It's just I just do. I'm like, oh, this one looks like a good one to have two stems going, and you can do that as well. But you don't have to. I could cut one of these off. Really, either one probably would cut this one off, even though it looks bigger. This one's producing fruit. This one's not yet. Should I cut that? Oh no, I see some coming up here. So later on, I might come through and go, nope, I don't want you. And I'll cut it off, and that'll be fine. So it's not all like exact science, but once you get the basic principles, that's why I'm telling you just these two things are crucial to pruning. Just getting them off the ground, any leaves that are touching the ground, hanging down, and any suckers. Those two things, if you just want to start there, that will make a world of difference. And again, if you want to take it a little farther and prune off more of the leaves, I highly recommend it, but I understand that it's extra work, and it can be a little intimidating because you're like, I don't want to take too much. I get that totally. Last year was my complete trial run, and it was also my first year of doing a CSA, so I was like, well, this is a gamble, right? Not only is it my food that I'm risking, it's someone else's who's paid me to grow their food. And it was a gamble that worked beautifully, and I will never go back to not pruning my tomatoes. In fact, I have the itch. Like I said, I don't even know what you're seeing here. I cannot see my screen. I go to people's houses, or I like my grandma or my dad, and I'm like, let me prune your tomatoes. I see them all wild and crazy. It gives me like anxiety now because I'm like, oh, it could be so much better. What the heck was that? I think there's something moved underneath my leg. Ooh, it's not a snake. Yeah, so I love pruning tomatoes. You have to do this you want to go through and check your tomatoes about once a week. Those suckers will come back. Well, they won't necessarily come back they can come back where you already trimmed, but as it grows, it keeps growing suckers. So you just keep trimming. Yeah, I think that's about it. And I'm just going to keep going. Some of these are a little bit crazy. This one's really wild. Can you even see? Clearly, I am a little behind on trimming. So what I do if it's like, oh my goodness, it's so crazy and I can't really see what's going on here, I will just like give it a once over and find any suckers, because that just eliminates bulk so that I'm able to kind of see what I'm doing. And sometimes I do all these sucker removal and then I'm like, oh, I was just removing suckers on a sucker. So how many times can I say that word in a video? So I'll realize, oh man, that was a lot of work for nothing. So this is another double. I have the one next to it is in it. That can be kind of a pain because you're like, what am I looking at? Which branch or which plant am I looking at? Okay, do you see me? Am I still visible? Nope. This one is a double one, so it's going to be a little bit more crazy, but I can also go in and reduce a lot more of those leaf branches, because there's so many of them. I said, you want to leave some. The plant does need them, but you don't need all of them. it just becomes a jungle, and it's just not necessary. Some people only remove them up to the first flowering branch or fruit bearing branch. So if it's got flowers, that's fruit bearing. I don't find that necessary at all. In fact, let me look at this one. I decided to keep it, but oh yeah, it's got stuff going on. So you can see here, maybe, that this one, ooh, I can see a little bit. The sun must have gone away a little bit. This one has double, so it's kind of crisscrossed up here, and I'll just keep crisscrossing it as I, trellis it. I will just kind of crisscross it and keep going, and that's good. I hope that made sense. All right, I gotta keep moving. I think I'm gonna stop talking and just trim. I think I got my point across because it's getting hot. It's getting hot in here. I probably won't finish this all right now. Might have to wait till it cools down a little bit later to finish it. But all right, here we go. And here is the after.
Thanks for watching. I hope these tips help you with your gardening this year. See you next time.